Hello guys, welcome to my next video. Today I'm going to be ranking all of the NFL quarterbacks on their 2020-2021 season performance. Let's get started. First, we have Josh Allen, who was an MVP candidate, but because Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes were there, he didn't really have that many votes. But he would be an S tier quarterback because he had good running game and really good passing, led the Bills to the AFC Championship. So he's an S tier this year. Next, Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles. They both got injured at some point in the season. They didn't have very good passing or stat lines at all, and the Bears barely made the playoffs and weren't able to do much after that. And they didn't play well at all and had lots of picks. Next, Ben Roethlisberger. He was pretty good for the first few weeks, but after that, he sort of dropped off and wasn't really a good quarterback overall. But I would still put him in B tier. Next, Tom Brady. He had 40 touchdowns, won the Super Bowl, had good passing, and he was like top five for passing yards too. So he was S tier this year. Next, Drew Brees. I mean, he had a good season in terms of where he went. He went to the divisional round and won his division and all, but he's not able to make some of the throws he used to, and he didn't have one of his best seasons stat wise or anything. So I would put him in B tier. Next, Joe Burrow. I want to put him higher, but he has to stay in B tier for now because he got injured after 10 weeks, and um, yeah, we don't know too much about what he could have done for the rest of the season, so he can't go anywhere higher. Passing wise, and what he ended up doing, Cam Newton would be a D tier, but he did get the Patriots to a 7-9 record somehow, and he did really well on the running game, so I would put him in C tier for now. Next up, Derek Carr. He did pretty good. He beat the Chiefs once, almost beat them twice, but they didn't make the playoffs this year. He did pretty good, but I don't think he was A tier level. Next up, Justin Herbert. He's our first A tier quarterback. It's a pretty easy decision. Rookie of the year, broke the rookie record for passing touchdowns. He did very well and brought the Chargers to a 7-9 record. He had an amazing rookie season. I'm not ranking Tyrod Taylor because he didn't even play a single game. Next up, Kirk Cousins. He was okay, but I would, I think C tier. He didn't really make that many good plays or didn't do too well this year with the Vikings. Missed a lot of throws. It was pretty sloppy. Next up, Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott is. I can't really judge him too much. I want to put him in A tier for his 5 weeks, but I can't really put him anywhere higher than B tier because he only played 5 weeks. But in those 5 weeks, he did really amazing. He had lots of passing yards, and he's probably going to have his best career, best season stat wise of his career if he continued to play and at that rate. Next up, Sam Darnold. I think he's going to be our first D tier quarterback. He didn't do very well for the Jets at all. Threw lots of picks. I mean, he tried to. He didn't really have much of a chance, so I want to see him improve next year. Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Tua, I would put him in a C tier sort of level. When he started, he got benched a couple times and didn't play that well. Ryan Fitzpatrick did pretty well for the Dolphins. Brought some of the games to victory. Like uh, a huge one would be the one against the Raiders. So he was a good game manager and he helped out Tua. So hopefully he develops next year and Ryan Fitzpatrick will be playing for the football team, Washington football team. Next up, Jimmy Garoppolo. He was injured a lot, so didn't play too well. I would just put him in C tier for now. Not much else to say. Next up, Jared Goff. He was okay with the Rams, but really wasn't at his best level or anything. So I think he would stay in C tier or maybe say C tier for now. Next up, Dwayne Haskins. He was terrible this year. I think he had a 1-5 record with the football team. Didn't really do much, and then got released after the season was a backup after Alex Smith came in. And hopefully next year, if the Steelers give him a chance, he can do better. Uh, Daniel Jones, also D tier. I don't think or I would put him in C tier. He had a couple good moments, but didn't have too great of a season or anything. And I don't think he's going with the New York Giants future. Next up, Lamar Jackson. I'll put him in A tier. He had a pretty good season. He Snuck the Ravens into the playoffs at the end of the season, had a really good run. He played well this season, so he gets A tier. Next up, Drew Lock, another D tier quarterback. He's not what the Broncos are looking for, and didn't accomplish much there. Mahomes S tier. It's pretty much self-explanatory. He played really well, and there's not much to say about it. Next up, Baker Mayfield. He had a good season, but I don't think he's up there with Lamar and Justin Herbert. He really did well for the Browns, but I don't know if he certified himself enough as a quarterback to go into A tier. Next up, Gardner Minshew. He didn't do too well at all, so I would just put him in D tier. Didn't play too well. Next up, Kyler Murray. He himself played pretty well. I would almost put him in A tier, but he didn't make the playoffs. He did make the Pro Bowl, but he didn't make the playoffs, and I don't think he was that good of a quarterback himself. Next up, Philip Rivers, another B tier quarterback. Like there's a huge list. I don't think he did. He had an okay season with the Colts, led them to the playoffs, but he wasn't. He wasn't on a good level or anything, and the Colts defense pretty much carried. Next up, Aaron Rodgers, MVP, leader in passing touchdowns, 48 passing touchdowns, 2 running touchdowns, 50 touchdowns total. Um, led the Packers to the number one seed in the playoffs, and he was really good this season. Next up, Matt Ryan. Uh, I would put him in B tier. He had another good season in terms of passing and touchdowns, but he couldn't really get anywhere with the Atlanta Falcons, and he wasn't on a high enough level. Next up, Matthew Stafford, another B tier quarterback. He he could be a lot better next year with the Rams, but this year he didn't do enough to be put in the A tier. Next up, Teddy Bridgewater. He was okay for the Panthers, but he couldn't really get much accomplished there, and I don't think he was the right fit for the offense. Next up, Ryan Tannehill. So this is a really controversial one. I'm putting him in A tier for this season because he did well for the Titans. Most people just see Derrick Henry when they're looking at the Titans, but Ryan Tannehill did had good passing this year, and he held his own at the quarterback position. Next up, Deshaun Watson. He had an A tier season, best season statistically of his young career, and I think he would go in A. And he really upped his stock. So now lots of teams are looking after him. Next up, Carson Wentz, another C tier quarterback, got his job taken towards the end of the season by Hurts and didn't do too well. Last, Russell Wilson. I think a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I'll leave him in A tier because although he did play well, um, he sort of choked towards the end of the season, and that really showed for the for the Seahawks. So that's my NFL quarterbacks tier list. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.